Uh, we'd like to say no, Joe, but as you know, we were very pleased with our performance last Friday, and we're just hoping that the boys have hit a level and can maintain it as we go through these next several weeks.
You know, tomorrow you're playing a team. It's almost an analogous situation to Fitchburg. Both you teams have good records, and you're playing a team that has had some problems. And sometimes when a team has had problems, they can be very dangerous. Is that correct?
Well, that's correct, Joe. We try to reduce tomorrow's game to a man-to-man situation, and we know that Marlborough's got some very good individual players. They've been hurt. The outcome of their games have been hurt by several plays. For example, the first game they lost by 1 touchdown, and yet they had flipped the ball first and goal at the end of the game and just failed to get that touchdown across. And last week they had a couple of key passes intercepted, gave Shrewsbury easy touchdowns. So we know that they hit very hard, and I think we've managed to convince the Leominster kids that man to man there'll be some great individual battles going on. We hope the team result ends up in Leominster's favor, however.
You know, you have resolved the problem very nicely. You happen to have two Superior High School quarterbacks in Paul Robichaud and Paul McCumber, which is a tough situation, but a pleasant one. And you've done something that isn't done very often that I've seen. You alternate these people on every play. When you first did it, I didn't even know what was going on. And I says, boy, I don't know if that is going to be confusing at all. And it turned out to be another genius idea of yours, because these guys have been simply tremendous.
Well, they're both fine athletes, both Paul Robichaud and Paul McCumber. They're both very good team players, which, needless to say, is an essential part of that kind of maneuver. And we're just awfully pleased the way it's working out. We think we're getting the greatest benefit out of two great athletes because we're able to use McCumber full-time defensively. We're able to use McCumber on a couple of things that he does very well, namely pass receiving and occasionally running with the football. And then we're able to capitalize on Paul Robichaud's passing ability, which is, I think, probably second to none among quarterbacks in central Massachusetts this year.
I had a question for you, Huck. You know, I'm watching your offense. You use predominantly, I guess, a wishbone. You have a multiple offense, all kinds of different sets. Do you have names for them or anything?
No, we try to emphasize to our players that they have 4 downs to gain 10 yards, and we try to reduce it down to that. And thanks to the great blocking that we've been getting by people like John Fennell and Charlie Kerouac and Bennett Feeney and Danny Curley, who's only a sophomore, and along with Ted Fiffey, I almost forgot him. But we're getting some great blocking, some great downfield blocking, and then very basic plays work very well when you get that kind of effort from the front wall.
You know, as you mentioned the names of Fennell, Fiffey, Sparks, Curley, Kerouac, that interior offensive line, they don't get any credit at all, but boy, you guys like Laquire, Vittorioso, Ringer, Robichaud, McCumber, etc., you know, as fine a backfield as that is, would be virtually immobile without the blocking up front.
That's so basic, and it's amazing that I think what we do have in our backfield are people like Ringer and Vittorioso and Laquire, who are capable of breaking a play. That they can turn a 10-yard play into a 50-yard touchdown, but in order to get that first few yards, there's got to be good blocking at the point of attack, and at least in our first 2 games, we've been able to get that. Now, it's going to be up to these guys to make it happen again tomorrow.
Again, as you said in tonight's paper, Chuck Fairbanks and Huck Hannigan have similar problems this week. The Patriots meeting Baltimore after stunning some people, just like you stunned Nashua. And I personally feel, I don't think either you or Fitchburg tomorrow afternoon will be overconfident, because Marlborough and Wachusett are always good-sized, tough teams who maybe they're not reaching their potential now, but they could do in any game, right?
That's correct. Marlborough, Joe, in our last 2 years, as a matter of fact, have jumped off to leads against us in the game 2 years ago. In a game which we won rather decisively, they managed to control the ball in every single play from scrimmage in the whole first quarter, with the exception of one play. And we were just successful in keeping them from getting across the goal line. But that's what I was referring to before in terms of good, solid personnel. And we see it happen all the time in the pros, where a team that isn't, or let's look at the Purdue-Notre Dame game from last week, where a team that isn't supposed to be on the same field ends up really putting it to another squad. So there are abundance of examples of that happening, and that's why a high school team particularly can't afford to think for a moment that they're as good as last week's score might lead them to want to believe.
Huck, I have one final question, right? One final question. Would you hold on for a moment, please? Thank you very much. That is Huck Hannigan, the coach of the Leominster High football team. Don't forget, we'll be talking to Marco Land, too, this hour. 3-4 for people venturing up to the game, and I'm sure there'll be a large number of Leominster people going to the game. What do you think they're going to see? I mean, this is a stupid question, and every sports guy asks, but do you feel that Marlboro it'll be an offensive game, even though you people look virtually unstoppable? I don't mean to jinx you by that.
Well, I'm sure that our attitude from the outset of the season, Joe, has been for our defense to carry us until our offense swung into high gear, and that's essentially what has happened. We've taken some of our very best athletes and put them on defense, and we're hoping that tomorrow John Angelini and Mike Pignata and Greg Caccitti and the rest of that defensive gang can put it together again and stop Marlboro, but not only stop Marlboro, but get us a couple fumbles and sack the quarterback a few times. And if they can continue playing that kind of good, steady football, then I think our offensive unit will have things going their way also. So I hope they see a good, strong Leominster defensive effort.
Okay, thank you for your time, and best of luck tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Joe.
There's the football coach for Leominster High School. They're unbeaten at 2-0. That is Huck Hannigan. And that Leominster defense, we'll talk about it just momentarily. Fenno Kerouac are the tackles. Arsenal alternating. He's a real fine one who was out injured for a while. Kevin Buckley Crowley at the ends. I'm talking about John Crowley, who's the starting offensive end. Mike Pignata, middle guard, excellent one. John Angelini, Steve Ringer, Dave Malatis, and linebackers Fran Thomas, they're the linebackers. Fran Thomas, Greg Caccitti, Paul McCumber are in that defensive secondary. We have an interview coming with Marco Landon, too.